hell, I've been called a game player the whole time I've been in the fucking villa. Now it's coming about again.
Maybe there's some truth to it. Because she just wants to stir the pot.
Do you know Ty flirts with me like 5 times a day, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's so flirty with me, like, he's always looking at me, and
I'm really not going to talk about the couple's dates just because it's the same old conversations. I think I'll focus more on the game that they played and just the recoupling and stuff. So I like the fact that people continue to call Scott a game player? No, I do not. And I personally think this is more people projecting how they're feeling than anything else. I don't think it has anything to do with what Scott has done, but I think somebody planted a seed and everybody has caught onto that and has suddenly found a reason to hate Scott because he called out the whole group when he sat them around the fire pit. That's my impression. But anyway, hey there, it's Valerie. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island, Season 10, Episode 37. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, a comment, and turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. This episode was too long, in my opinion. The conversations amongst the couples are the same conversations, so I'm not even going to bother repeating them. And then you have the recoupling. How do I feel about recoupling? I think that it was predictable. They didn't need to show us everybody else. I think all they needed to show us was Scott, Mitch, Abby, and Amber. That's it. Everybody else we already knew who they were coupling up with, so it wasn't a surprise. Because in my opinion, the Islanders have become predictive. You can't predict what they're going to do and what they're going to say, so it wasn't a surprise who coupled with who. I am surprised that, given the fact that we've been seeing Scott and Abby have, so many chats, Mitch got to go first. I think the reason why Mitch got to go first is because Amber refused to go into a bed with Mitch. I think she refused to be coupled with Mitch because if you remember after Casamo, when the girls recoupled and Jess came back and she realized that Mitch had recoupled, she said to Abby, "I'd rather you than me," which makes me feel that the girls, because of the way Mitch behaved around the Molly situation and how creepy he was, and then how he's moved through the villa, I think none of the girls want to be with Mitch. Abby's the only person who they've managed to sort of trap there with Mitch. I think for some reason, Amber must have gone to the producers and said, "If you couple me up with Mitch, I'm going home." And this is why Scott had no choice but to pick Amber, which is really sad for Scott. And I'm happy that he spoke up to say, I had my eye on somebody else. Yes, this is what I'm left with, but I had my eye on somebody else. He did say some nice things about her, so I don't get why people were calling him out for that. Everybody else would have done the same, and yet it wouldn't have been such a big deal. In the morning after the recoupling, you have Ty and Sammy making breakfast for Jess and Ella. I'll pretend to be naive and say that was a kind gesture. It came from the bottom of their hearts, but I think it's more gameplay because out of the blue, Sammy suddenly closed. So I think he's trying to sort of win over the fans and he's trying to win over Jess. That way he can stay in the villa for as long as he can. Locum and Ellen. Locum and Catherine, for me, yes, the guys made them breakfast, but Locum and Catherine, for me, I think, I'm going to put it out there. I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to put it out there. I think Catherine likes Ellen more than Ellen likes her. I think Ellen knows that his ticket in the villa is Catherine, and so he has to do everything within his power to sort of please her. That way he can stay in the villa. But if you look at his body language, it's total. There is something there. It's something. I'm not saying that Catherine is not likable. Please don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that in the sense that their attraction, their like, and whatever, I think Catherine is more invested than Ellen is. And I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But I might be wrong. But hey, it is what it is. And then the Islanders get to play this shady game. I thought the producers were very messy for that. Locum and Whitney were the sort of the umpires, so they were the referees, and then everybody else got to participate in their couplings. Catherine and Ellen give their umbrella to Mitch, saying that Mitch is very messy. I think they there was no one else they could go for, because if they went for Scott, it would have been personal. And I think this is the reason why they picked Mitch, because there was no other reason for them to do that. And then saying that, you have Jess and Sammy. They go up and they say they're picking Mitch and Abby just because Abby is sort of trying to chat between Mitch and Scott, and so she's not decided, and this is why they're shading her that she needs to make a decision of who she wants. So I get that, but I don't think that's the type of shade that was needed. I think if nothing else, Sammy should have shaded Mitch for the way he was moving in the villa when he was trying to pursue Jess. That would have made more sense. And then the square, Ty, Ella, Kady, and Ouzy. I saw that coming a mile away. Ty is very manipulative, and it's sad that people are not seeing this. And Ty is playing, he's the biggest game player in the villa, in my opinion, in the sense that he's managed to tarnish everybody else's image. That way they are on the same sort of wavelength as him, and then he's coming out as this knight in shining armor, and people will eventually vote for him to win. I think that's his mindset. Anyway, he then stands up there and he says, well, we're giving our shade to Ouzy because he said it's either Ella or he's going home, but he's still here. And Kady said, you know, she's not a second best, and that is what she is. And it's like, why are you even bothered with their coupling? You've already broken up another couple. You've broken up Catherine and Scott. Now you're now going on to another couple that you feel threatened by. It doesn't make sense to me. And then Ouzy and Kady came up next, and they were like, you know, Ty and Ella was sort of were closed off, but surprisingly during Casa, Ella brought somebody back, and Ty began flirting with anything with a pulse, and they both couples hit below the belt. It does make sense. It does make sense in the sense that Kady said she didn't want to feel like she was second best. I remember when Ty was trying to flirt with her, and she said she didn't want to feel like she was playing second best to Ella. So I don't get how she could play second best to Ouzy, given the fact that Ouzy has since moved on from Ella. So Ouzy is now single. He's not interested in pursuing Ella. So I don't get where Ty's comment came from. I think Ty wants them gone. I think Ty has decided to put it out there for the viewers so that the viewers can make a decision to send Kady and Ouzy home, because the less people that the viewers are likely to like that stay in the villa, the more his chances are of winning. And that is how you play the game. So then you have three couples give Amber and Scott an umbrella. I personally feel some type of way. I know I sound like the Scott defense team, but hey, listen. Okay, Zach saying that. Zach and Scott are guys, so they do seem to spend a lot of time together. And he said it in a light-hearted manner that, you know, Scott, you should have said something nicer about Amber than the way you put it out. So I get that. I give them a pass for that. For Abby, I think Abby did Scott justice. I think Abby did Scott justice. And I love the fact that she said that, because Catherine was holding on to the fact that nobody liked you. Nobody liked you. This is why you were single. And Abby said, you did not even want to get to know me during Casa, which vindicates him in the sense that he said, I stayed loyal. I didn't pursue anything romantic with anyone because I knew what I had with you was it. And so Abby saying that, in my opinion, vindicates Scott, vindicates him. The Islanders won't listen to it because they don't want to hear anything positive about Scott. But I think Abby saying that vindicated Scott, that it's not that the girls did not want him, it's the fact that he did not open the door for them to step in. Because if the door was open, all the girls wanted to stay in the villa. There's no reason why Gabby would have been fighting with Amber over Sammy. One of them would have easily gone for Scott, but because Scott sort of guarded himself and closed himself off without saying I'm closed, the girls did not take the opportunity to try and invest in him or try to make an effort to create a connection. And then Montel and Leah, that was messy. So they're more offended by Scott calling out Leah for what she did, but they're not offended by Sammy yelling at Leah after he led Leah on. That doesn't make sense to me. That does not make any sense. It seems to me it's like, let's pile on Scott. Scott called us out, and let's keep calling him out and embarrass him the way he made us feel embarrassed. That's just my opinion, because there was no reason for Montel to say, oh, I understand the Amber bit, but then, oh, you try to yell at my missus and I won't have that. And so for me, it's like, so you're more offended by Scott calling out Leah for involving herself in his business than you are offended by the fact that you embarrassed Leah when you're playing Tansel hockey with Tink, and when you're doing PG, whatever you were doing under the duvet with Tink. That was not embarrassing for your missus. Scott calling out your missus and telling her that it was not her place to speak up on business that had nothing to do with her, that's more offensive to you, and that's why you feel the need to shade him. I don't get it. Sammy embarrassed Leah at the fire pit and yelled at her and told her off, and then apologized after the producers told him to apologize. You are not offended by that. Leah, you are not offended by that. That would have been better for you to call out Sammy than to go for the easy target and just pile on Scott. So the Islanders play the rest of the game, and Sammy and Jess win. They're excited. They come back. It's now tense because of the shade. I think the film had been too quiet, so the producers decided to bring in some drama. Ella and Ty are upset with Ouzy and Kady. Ouzy and Kady are upset the other way around, just because they felt that both couples went below the belt. Ella decides she's not going to say anything, or she's not going to confront Kady because she thinks Kady is messy. And for me, that doesn't make sense. It was a team thing. If she's upset with Kady, then she needs to be upset with Ouzy. Kady, on her part, says it's out of pocket for Ty to call her second best because it's not like anybody told her she was second best. It's her feeling that she felt like she was second best in the love triangle that Ty was trying to create with Ella. And so Ouzy, on his part, didn't understand why Ty called him out because he never said he would go home if he wasn't with Ella. So that was something he didn't know of. And so, I don't know. Ty is master manipulator. He's already thinking of things to do and things to say. And I guess tonight's drama is always going to be about all that conversation and the aftermath of that. And so Scott was in a group with Whitney and Lockham, and he sort of said, I don't get where Abby's comment came from because I personally don't get it as well because he asked her, are you interested or are you not? She could have easily said, no, I'm not. She wasn't being forced. He didn't come onto her and say, I want to pursue you. He said, if it's something you're open to, fine. If it's something you're not, that's fine. He hadn't even thought about it until Ella and Ty put the idea into his head. So I give him credit to say, oh, I need to speak to her and find out what's going on. Whitney asked, will you speak to Mitch? She said, no, Mitch won't tell me the full story, so I'll go to the source, I'll go to Abby. And then he said, at the end of the day, I've already been called a game player, so what do I have to lose? And Whitney says, there might be some truth to it. And it's like, what do you mean there might be some truth to it? Everybody in the villa is playing games. There is no one who said, I love you to anyone. There is no one who appears to be in the slightest bit romantically inclined to their partner despite the words coming out of their mouth. Their actions, the body language, no one seems to be in love with their partner. They seem to be in like, but they don't seem to be in love. All of you in the villa are there because of the game. So to make it seem like Scott is playing the game, I don't get it. Because Scott coupled up with Catherine, when there was an issue, he confronted the whole villa, and that's when everybody turned against him, and it was let's gang up on Scott, and he was suddenly called a game player. He's playing a game, he's playing a game, he's playing a game. When Catherine came with someone, if he was really playing a game, he would have recoupled with someone at the fire pit on from Casa, and then kept that person as a backup in case Catherine came with someone. If she didn't come with someone, he would have dumped that person like Sammy did, and then gone back to Catherine and redeemed himself in that way. He didn't do anything. Catherine brought up Elam. He stayed on his own, knowing that that made him vulnerable and there was a risk of him going home. This is why Ty was saying to him, you need to try your best. That way, when you go home knowing that you've tried your best. You can't just sit there and go home and then regret that. Why did I not at least try things with Abby? Try things, and if they fail, they fail, but at least try. This is when he started trying. You have Ty who's manipulating both the guys and the girls quietly, and everybody's not calling him a game player. You have Sammy, who's moving from Jess to any other girl that comes into the villa, and then he goes back to Jess because he knows Jess will keep him in the villa. No one is saying anything about that. You have Mitch, was chasing everybody and sort of bad mouthing the guys until the guys called him out. Nobody's calling him a game player. You have Molly, who went out, got the answers for how to win the show, came back and sat in a corner sack and has not made the sound unless she's been asked. You have Zachariah, who suddenly thinks that aligning himself with Molly will keep him in the villa until the finale and give him the chance of winning. Nobody's called him a game player. So the idea that Scott is this master manipulator who's playing games, how is he playing games in a game where you need to be a couple and he doesn't have anyone to be in a couple with? How stupid a game player is he? How stupid a game player is he? I didn't like that. I think some of the comments are going below the belt. I think some of the conversations are inappropriate, and I think the producers need to do something, because had it been a girl who was being treated the way Scott has been treated over the past couple of weeks, people would be up in arms. There would be so much outrage about bullying, so much outrage about harassment, so much outrage about victimization. But everybody's quiet because it's Scott. And that's not fair. And this is why I feel the need to defend him. I'm not saying he's right on everything he does, but I'm saying the way people are ganging up on him. When Tasha was ganged up by Dami and Luca, everybody was up in arms. It was only two people. Yet here you've got the whole villa turning against Scott, making snide remarks. The guys, when he's trying to speak to Abby, trying to instigate Mitch to go and break Abby and Scott up, making little snide remarks about how less of a competition he is. And he's never said anything. He's never stepped out of line. And yet that's why we call him a game player. I don't get it. I think he's too emotionally intelligent for everyone in the villa. That's my opinion. And that's where I'll stand and I'll end, because I'm really so furious. I don't like it. It's a game. It's a game. Yes. You want to win. Yes. Scott and Catherine, the chances of them winning were highly unlikely. They could have been number two, but I don't think they would have been number one. And I'm so upset that it took people like Ty and Montel. For some reason, Montel has this grievance with Scott because he was one of the people who was saying, well, I liked Catherine, and Scott immediately went and kissed Catherine, and then that stopped me and Catherine pursuing anything. And it's like, you did the same thing. You shut down Whitney so hard and so abruptly and so rude, and nobody said anything about you. And suddenly, because somebody else did the same thing, you are aggrieved by it. Catherine is there. She's not married to Ellen. She wasn't married to Scott. Why did not you not continue to have conversations with her? She did not say she was closed off. So there was nothing to stop her having conversations with you, even after she had kissed Scott. So I don't get it. I don't get why the guys did that. And it's really sad that it's tainted the whole show and it's put this bad light on one person when it's not necessary. But anyway, I digress. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye everyone.